Hey guys, Rascal here, and this will be my final review for 2019. And for this theme, since we're going into the next decade of the 2000s, now we're leaving the 2010s and we're going into the 2020s. So, I want to cover something that is probably going to be a little controversial across the board for many people. Reboots. Now, not just all reboots. Gosh, can't do that. I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite reboots. And these are ones I've either grown up with or found recently in the past year or past few years. Now for reboots, sometimes they're a great idea and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they could use one. Like Voltron, Thundercats, Scooby-Doo, Transformers, and other ones that don't need a reboot, like Monster High, in the middle of airing, Ben 10, Powerpuff Girls. But I didn't come to talk about the ones I didn't like. That's another video. I'm talking about the ones I actually do like. In fact, there are 10 reboots of shows and one movie. Well, not a movie, it's more like pretty much an anime, but I guess if you want to consider it a movie, go ahead. That I really, really love. Not every reboot is Teen Titans Go. Thank God for that. There are reboots that really do take time to make, and they put a lot of passion into these projects, and they do the original justice, or even better, even end up being more successful than the original while still maintaining that spirit of the original show. So here we go. Here are my top 10 favorite reboots, and these are only for animated series. I'm not counting live action. This is only animated, and it's stuff both is aired on TV and on Netflix. There are no movies on this list, and there's only one anime. And I haven't seen that many anime reboots, so you have to stay with me on this. Although I will be recording my least favorite reboots in the next review. So to finish off 2019, let's dive in. Alright, number 10, Spectacular Spider-Man. This one was recommended to me by Bennett Dudley. Now, considering I had never really seen yeah, pretty much. I have not seen the original Spider-Man series, nor have I seen Ultimate Spider-Man, which came after this. And yeah, Spider-Man is amazing. Friends, I've heard of all of these Spider-Man series. I even heard of Spectacular Spider-Man, but I never watched it growing up. I had heard of it, but never watched it. And I am not sure if this is around the time that I was starting to get into Spider-Man from the Tobey Maguire movies, but for some reason I never watched it growing up. You'd think I would, considering how much I love the character from the movie, but alas, I didn't see it. So, after seeing Dudley just talk about this movie incessantly, I asked him if it was any good, and he recommended to me like a million times. So I convinced my mom to let us buy the complete series, and we watched the whole thing in about a month. And I gotta say, I don't regret it. This is one of the best Spider-Man series, and that's considering that I go and watch some other versions, I've ever seen. It was fun, it was great, it had the great balance of comedy and action and superhero, it had the little dark tension, it had the goofiness, it had quips, it had Josh Keaton, which immediately made my mom buy it. It was a fantastic series, and I cannot believe that they went and canceled the show. Cannot believe this. Gosh. Especially with the cliffhanger it had. If you have not seen Spectacular Spider-Man, please do right now or as soon as possible, because this was definitely one of my favorite superhero shows ever. From Spider-Man to seeing pretty much all of his rogues gallery in one, seeing the Green Goblin voiced by Steve Blum, and he became my favorite villain of the series. It's a really, really great show, and it really brings back nostalgia of having action cartoons back in the 2000s. Alright, so at number 9 I have Teen Titans. Not Teen Titans Go. I am talking about the original Teen Titans from 2003, I think? Or was it 2005? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, I'm sorry, 2003. Now this one I watched like every week. Every time they had an episode on, I would always watch Teen Titans. And I actually learned that this was not really something people looked forward to when it first came on. They thought it was just going to be something stupid and wacky. They thought it was going to be Teen Titans Go long before Teen Titans Go even existed, because it had a goofy anime looking vibe to it. But that was actually what made it work as a show. It was still an action show, and it had some pretty dark themes and elements in there, but it still had the humor in it, and it was fun. It had the comic relief, you had the comedy episode, you had the goofy antics and stuff, but it still managed to balance out. Once again, like Spider-Man, it balanced out everything, and it was still fun to watch. You had fun watching it, and you're glad when the Titans would save the day, and every season had a different character focus, and it had new villains each time, and the stakes kept getting higher and higher with each season. And this is part of why people just don't like Teen Titans Go. All of the care that went into making the original Teen Titans, and how much fun it was and action-packed and pretty much stand out at the time, is gone now for Teen Titans Go. And it's more about making fun of the original Titans, or making fun of the original fans and saying you have no taste, and you should be focusing on writing your show. And they can't really decide what they want to do. So, yes, for Teen Titans, I definitely recommend that to any superhero fan, whether you're a fan of DC, Marvel, both, or Cartoon Network. Is definitely something I would recommend to all superhero fans, because it's really a fun show. And it always has the format of a new villain of the week, or leading up to a big arc into the end of the season. And it's always fun to watch. Now, number 8, I have the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. This was the first Turtle series I saw. And before the 2012 series, this was the biggest version of the Turtles that people really loved. I know they had one in the 80s, and that ran for 8 or 9 seasons. I can't believe it. Not because it's a bad show, I just was surprised it ran that long. Then you had the 2003 Turtles, which I grew up with, and it's what introduced me to the Ninja Turtles in the first place. I had never seen the movies, I never heard of the 80s show, I never read any of the comics, but watching the Turtles on either 4Kids TV and Fox and whatever station they were able to be played on, I watched a ton of episodes. Unfortunately, I never got to finish the series because they stopped airing it at some point. There was even a whole season where they missed a ton of episodes that never aired. It was sort of like the missing season. And the show went on for quite a while with TV movies and specials, and like a huge pack of episodes, like I said, missing. And for every season was almost 26 episodes, or was 26 episodes. You were getting your fill every single season. And once again, it had the blend of humor, action, drama, lore, and it pretty much amped up the Turtles lore as a whole. And for this one, it was actually a little darker. I mean, I know the 80s Turtles actually got darker when it got towards the end, but then tried to make it lighthearted and didn't work. So for this one, they made it stay darker. And I have not seen the 2012 series. I've seen like a few episodes, and it's not bad, but I haven't really seen enough to get a full opinion on it. And I can't stand Rise of the Ninja Turtles. I just can't. I'm sorry. I know there are people that like that is goofy and fun, but I just can't take it. But for any newcomers to Ninja Turtles, I definitely recommend 2003 series. It's very fun, very action-packed, and it definitely has some stuff that I couldn't believe we got away with at the time. Alright, number 7, we have My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. A show that actually just ended not too long ago. And as of recording this, I have not seen the end of the series because I am waiting for Netflix to add it along with the other specials that I have missed, because some genius at the network decided they didn't want to air some of these rest of these episodes with my cable provider, so I have not seen the end of the series, so I'm hoping I avoid spoilers. And this reboot was made in 2012 by Craig McCracken's wife, Lauren Faust, and this one showed still a once again combination of action. So yes, My Little Pony is action. It was comedy and cuteness and lightheartedness, and it's just absolutely fun and adorable to watch. Until a villain comes in, and then it becomes the most epic thing you've ever seen in your life. And yes, My Little Pony has action in it. And from the villains they actually have every season, I think is pretty clever how they have one that's sort of the enemy to friendship. Like they'll have Discord, they have Nightmare Moon, they have Queen Chrysalis, they have T-Rex, and all these villains are sort of like the anti-friendship villain, and it's sort of a different theme. And they've built pretty much My Little Pony lore about Pegasi and unicorns and alicorns and earth ponies, how much the depths of the magic, the history of their holidays, the history of the lands, the ancestors, how these villains came to be in power. They've had just all sorts of really creative ideas in here. And while it's sad that this show is gone now, I know there is another series for G5 coming out, I think, next year. And they have a sort of like a mini-series, sort of like the in-between series between Friendship is Magic and the G5 series called Pony Life. Looked at it, I really don't know what to say about it at all, but I'll give it a chance. I'll try it. But I definitely recommend, I know it's gonna sound a little weird, but I definitely recommend My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. It's definitely fun. And if you're looking for action, don't worry, it definitely has it every season. And you get to learn the magic of having friends and family. Okay, at number 6, I have G.I Joe Renegades, another recent one recommended to me by Bennett Dudley. I've never seen anything G.I Joe related at all. I know about 2 live-action movies they had with Dwayne Johnson and Channing Tatum, but I never watched those movies, nor did I watch the original 80s series. I did not watch the 80s movies. I didn't watch any version of this, neither did I watch Renegades. And I watched it only because Dudley had in his videos for a while, and I asked about it. And it said it was kind of like Transformers Prime and some other shows where they have a more serious appeal to it, rather than being the fun and campy stuff in the 80s with. Now for Renegades, this one has sort of a plot line that I'm a fan of, where the Joes have been framed for committing a crime they didn't commit and trying to take down Cobra Industries, and they're pretty much on the run from the government and Cobra themselves, and they need to clear their names and show that Cobra Industries is actually an evil organization run by Commander Cobra himself. And Cobra, I'm kind of laughing that he doesn't sound like this the whole time anymore, and he was actually a big threat in the show. And it actually turned out to be a really, really great show. I really didn't think I was going to stick with it. I was going to be like a few episodes and I'd be out. But I was genuinely surprised in how great it was. And if you are a fan of action, once again, and military-like shows and more in-depth, action-oriented plots, this is definitely a show for you. It's not as much as a comedy like some of the others I've mentioned where it's a blend. It is more of the action and the drama, and it has more of appeal to adults. Considering their age range was, 12 years old, I'm kind of surprised that it's more fitting for adults, but hey, at least that they treated the audience seriously. Alright, and number 5, halfway through, we got DuckTales from 2017. And I won't talk about this one as much because this one has been talked about enough already. This reboot was made by a lot of the same people from the Gravity Falls. And yes, it does have a big Gravity Falls theme to it, with these kids going with their uncle, and they're having strange mysteries and adventures every single day. That part is true, but there's still enough of it to stand out on its own. And also introducing new characters and revamping original characters into new forms. Like they have a new version of Darkwing Duck, of the Beagle Boys, of Magica Dispel, and now they introduce some new villains like the Moon Martians, I think that's what they're called. And also having lots of great shout-outs and references to the original 80s DuckTales series, and even establishing a sort of DuckTales cinematic universe by having like the Gummy Bears and Darkwing Duck and Tailspin and some of the other classic 80s Disney afternoon shows being canonical in the same universe, which is a fantastic idea and opens up the door for a lot of other reboots for the network that can be handled perfectly. And if you're definitely looking for fun, this is definitely for your adventurous side. You will love DuckTales 2017. And like I said, I will not reveal too much about it because so much has already been done for it. But I definitely recommend it. Now, number 4, Transformers Prime. A show that came on in 2012 and was meant to capitalize off the success of the Michael Bay Transformers live-action movies, which sort of ended up becoming a reversal. But, unlike most other shows, they did not cancel it because it was more popular than the movies. And yes, that is ended up what happening. It was supposed to be like taking place in the same universe, but it was animated for the Michael Bay. And in this version, they kind of have them in hiding in this remote town, and they're fighting Decepticons basically every day. And they have 3 human friends that help them defeat Decepticons, and they even end up having an arc where they even try to restore the planet, restore their home of Cybertron, and bring the people back. And I gotta say, I was genuinely surprised at how great the show was. I ended up watching the series twice over. Once by myself and once with my mom when she asked about the show. And it turned out to be just as fun watching it the first time. I really loved on how serious it was and action-packed. And of course, love Peter Cullen was still Optimus Prime, and Frank Welker was Megatron. And it's definitely that satisfied that part of me that loved the action comedy shows. But this one was definitely way more action than comedy. There was actually very little humor in it. There were bits of it, but it was strictly story-driven and action-oriented. And if you like Transformers, whether you like the Michael Bay movies or just Transformers in general, you will definitely enjoy this one. Now, number 3, Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, which was the first ever serious Scooby-Doo series, a reboot that came out in about 2014 and 2015. Now, this one, Scooby-Doo usually has the reputation to be a fun, campy, goofy, silly show with new mystery every week. But for the first time, Mystery Incorporated actually gave Scooby-Doo a much, much darker tone. There were more references to horror movies and darker themed episodes. The monsters ended up looking real half the time, even if you knew that they were going to be fakes. There was even a big Scooby-Doo lore and plot line that they had. Scooby-Doo had never had a plot before outside of a movie where they had to figure out what happened to the original Mystery Incorporated kids. And it even ends up being a whole story about how there used to be a group of kids and an animal that would solve mysteries, and they would mysteriously disappear, and they had to figure out why was this happening and why is history repeating itself, and even test their friendship as a team and as a family. They had actually dark, scary storylines, actual action, all-star cast, which was spectacular, and it was something that was like, oh my gosh, Scooby-Doo is being taken seriously. They actually made Scooby-Doo serious, and it wasn't overdone. Now, of course, they didn't forget that Scooby-Doo is pretty much a goofy show, but they balanced it out. It was way more about the plot and the mystery. It's more about mystery solving than the goofy antics, which they do put in, but it's more about the mystery. And I really loved how they blended all this in, and it went from being just a simple show and a story about these kids traveling across who knows where to solve a mystery, to it being about something that could lead to the fate of the planet. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Definitely recommend if you are a Scooby-Doo fan. Now, for number 2, we have Thundercats 2011. Another show recommended by Ben Adeli. Are you seeing a pattern here? This man keeps telling me shows that I end up loving. This one, I heard of many times. I actually remember it coming on growing up as a kid. But the thing was, I never watched it. Mostly because it came on a time that I didn't watch TV, or I got too tired to stay up that late. And at the time, I was not into those types of shows. I liked action comedy shows, but I never really got into more action-oriented shows until I got older. And I remember Thundercats coming on, I thought it was an Adult Swim program. Well, it should have been the way they were writing this stuff. Now, Thundercats is a reboot of the 80s Thundercats, but this time around, they're taken into a more plot-oriented and more cerebral version. And they've changed up some things, like the planet's not destroyed. They're not even sure if Thundera is a planet. It's more like a land. And the mission for Lionel is that he needs to stop Mum-Ra and free the rest of the Thunderians and pretty much save all of the, I'll say, Middle Earth, something Earth. I don't even know where this takes place anymore. But it was actually a great series that I cannot believe Cartoon Network went and canceled because it was too expensive to make. And this was actually one of the few times I actually seen the original people who worked on the 80s Thundercats did this series. Even had the original Lionel be the voice of Lionel's father for the reboot, and was sort of passing the torch way. And they had Rankin and Bass even working on it, and they even had it done in an anime style just like the original. So this was pretty much a passion project for this team behind it. And it was a really, really great show Very action filled. It is definitely darker, much darker than the original, but it's still done in a way that's entertaining and it's engaging. And I know some people said, why'd you make Thundercats serious? It's not fun to watch anymore. It was always part fun and part serious. You took the fun out of it. Personally, I thought it was still fun even with the action in it. And I will warn you though, there might be sometimes you're kind of lost at some point. You gotta watch the episodes in order. You can't really go willy-nilly all around, because they do reference some things from the 80s shows and they implement them into here. And it's gonna give you more of like a Voltron / Star Wars feel. And the only episode that kind of like really made me tear up was the one with the Peltars, where these plants where the whole life cycle was in one day, and that was like one of the saddest episodes I've ever seen in my life. But yes, this show was really great. Great characters, great art, great music, great animation, and it should be great for new and old Thundercat fans alike. Alright, now for the final one. Voltron Legendary Defender from DreamWorks Animation and Netflix. Of course, you knew that was going to be on there because I don't stop talking about this show like ever. And I know the final seasons of the show have gotten some criticism and controversy spanning the internet, but to me, I really don't care. I still love Voltron. I loved its final season. I cannot spoil this final season for you at all, because there might be ones that have not seen this show and want to check it out. Voltron is a reboot of the original anime from 1984 called Voltron Defender of the Universe. And this time around, in this version, it has 5 cadets who find a blue lion. And when they are sent to space, they find Princess Allura, and together they are chosen to stop this evil warlord named Zarkon, and they need to find the other lions. And putting the lions together, they make up the robot Voltron. Now for here, it's definitely more plot oriented, and you're seeing the progression of them taking down Zarkon from beginning to end. And the original was just basically fighting a monster every week and doing some weird mundane task with the worst animation I've ever seen in my life. But this one actually did play with that a little bit for the first few episodes, having a road beast, and then kind of delve into stopping Zarkon, forming a rebellion a la Star Wars style. You kind of find out the trace of the paladins and why each of them were chosen to pilot a line and be defenders of the universe. And I think it just got better for me each season, or half season, the way you want to put it. And of course, with the introductions of Lotor, who became an instant fan favorite. You love the paladins with Shiro, Keith, Lance, Hunk, and Paige, and of course Princess Allura and Koran. You see lots of characters show up every episode, and each season it just gets crazier and crazier. The animation is done by Studio Mirror, some people behind Legend of Korra and Avatar: Last Airbender. I could go on for hours about this one show, but I don't think you guys want to listen to me that long because this video is already dragging on. But I absolutely love this show. This is no doubt my favorite reboot of all time and my favorite anime show of all time, because the ending definitely left me in tears, and it's really sad that it's over. I really wish it had more seasons and more stories or a movie or something, but it is what it is. And I personally loved season 8. I know not everybody agrees, and it's totally fine if you disagree, but I loved season 8 and I loved the ending, and it's just one of my favorite shows of all time. So this video's gone on like long enough. Good grief, how much can I talk at one time? Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know your favorite reboots in the comments below, or if you want to mention ones that I didn't mention, either in the honorable mentions or in the top 10 list, or ones that I haven't even heard of and you want to recommend. Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in 2020. Have a happy new year. Later.